Like, just pull the string and let it go.
It's the Starbucks I got earlier.
Starbucks, hell, I think it was a safety meeting.
Yeah, that's you.
We always have a safety meeting before a podcast.
I'm very safetied.
Safety is like number one. Yeah, so that was so we're gonna slow it down just a little bit. Slow it down, because I had this whole thing planned out with like 20 questions, but
I just did like 19.
You just went through like, well, I can't answer that. She already answered that one, but it was so fast, you guys probably missed it.
Right.
Right. So, but I did have a few questions I wanted to go down to. So, how did your addiction affect your relationship, career, or your daily life? What was that like?
I was what I would like to call a very high functioning addict and an alcoholic. I had a very soft rock bottom where I didn't lose my job, my license. I haven't wrecked a car. I don't have a DUI. I've never gone to jail. But I realized that at some point these substances were controlling my life. And I was so tired of looking for that. But I really didn't lose any relationships. Honestly, it was my choice to get sober when I did, because I was tired of myself. But I had a really nice life. And that's why I really struggled with my addiction, is because I felt like I should have had some trauma like the people you see on intervention.
Right. And that's kind of interesting, because not everybody goes through, that trauma. It's a different level of trauma. It's a different.
Right. And that's what I've learned is you don't have to have one traumatic event that you maybe necessarily remember or that defined you, but you can have things that can lead to addiction from your childhood that you would never think.
Right. Did you have a bad childhood?
No, I had a great childhood. So I was wondering why I was so fucked up. I honestly had a silver spoon in my mouth. I came home from the hospital in a Dior gown. That's why when I decided to get sober, I asked to be checked into a facility, because I wanted to find out why I was using substances to cope my feelings.
Right. So what's interesting with our guest, right, is that not only, Janelle is my sister. So, very big age gap in our relationship. I'm old enough to be your dad, pretty much. I had kids her age. But it's cool, just, our childhoods were totally different.
Yeah.
Different point in time. Our mom had me when she was 16, and you look at raising a child at 16, and then she had another child at 40. And
yep.
And now here we are together talking about addiction. And
how come you didn't turn out fucked up? Like, what?
Well, I don't know about that.
I mean, you're right.
Clean.
Let me redact that. How come you aren't an addict?
Well, so it's funny is people see me on the internet, or they see parts of me, and what's interesting is, being as old as I am, which isn't that old, but I'm 57 years old, is you can totally move to another area, and you can totally reinvent yourself, and people only know what you tell them.
Very true.
So I have stuff that's happened in the past that people don't know about. I don't have this glory. I mean, I have a nice life now that came out of a lot of hard work and, sacrifices in my life. But
and,
I was...
And a lot of trouble causing.
And trouble.
You told me some
I've heard some stories.
Yeah, right?
So there's...
How long have you been married, Stoney?
I've been married 20 years, or I should say I've been married for 34 years. But 20 to one and 14 to another. So there is a past, right? There is a past, and where I'm going is that you can change where you want to go and what you want to be. And I've had I wouldn't say level of it. And again, I'm a Gen X guy. So when you say addiction, I didn't know I had an addiction. I didn't know. There was no label to it. It's like, right. Yeah, I was taking 10 Vicodin a day for motorcycle accident, bicycle accidents, and there was no name to it. It's just, that was what I did, and I coped. And there was one day where I just realized, it's like, I'm taking all the Vicodin, I'm taking sleeping pills, I'm taking antidepressants and all these things. I just got tired of all the pills.
Exactly. That's where I was.
So was I an addict? Maybe. I don't know. There was no
Well,
label to it.
There's also a difference between a physical addiction and a mental addiction. So at some
I'm
point, if
mental.
you were, I know you are, if you were taking those pills, yes, you were physically addicted,
Right.
but you go through withdrawal. And that's honestly, in my opinion, the easier part of coming off drugs, the mental addiction. 10 years in, and I'll still see a pill bottle in somebody's house. And I wonder what that is. Not ever going to take it, but it's still ingrained in my brain.
Oh, that's like me with cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about almost 1,400 days without a cigarette.
Congratulations. That's hard.
How many days?
Lord, 1,400. But oh Lord, like if I'm around smokers or like see smoking,
Yep.
I want a cigarette so bad.
Nicotine
so
is
bad.
for me. I vape because I went from cigarettes to vaping, and I always forget that nicotine is an addiction, but it's real.
Yeah.
I woke up one day, I was like, I'm gonna quit, and I got the gum
Yeah.
and the patches, and I lasted 8 hours.
Yeah.
Because it was hard.
Yeah, it is. That's definitely one of the like hardest things like I've had to go through is like withdrawal from cigarettes. And like I said, even to this day, I'm still just like, oh, if I start like even just taking a hit,
Mhm.
I'd be buying a pack by the end
Oh,
of the
yeah,
night.
yeah.
Like 100%.
Well, and with any addiction, especially cigarettes, it's the routine. You know, I had the routine
And
of
then
you
the
get in the
routine
car,
too.
you light
Oh
a
my God,
cigarette,
yeah.
or you eat, you have a cigarette.
Mhm.
And breaking those routines is really hard, especially
Yeah.
when you've done it for so long.
Yeah, like I'm still my favorite place to smoke was just like out on a patio
Mhm.
somewhere, and I still go out on the patio.
Yes.
I'll still just like go out and like hang out on my patio just to
Yeah.
hang out on my patio. That's like still my like,
Yeah, but you're
away
not smoking
spot.
cigarettes. You're probably smoking something else.
but not like I smoke cigarettes. though.
Yeah.
No.
Like I'd go through like 2, 3, like 5 cigarettes just
Sitting out there.
Just sitting out there, just smoking away, just like.
I used to
am
love my
feeling
patio
retired?
beers because it was like,
Oh,
yeah, just
Same
sit out.
thing, Yeah.
Now I just sit out and
You see the
smoke a
price of
joint.
cigarettes?
No.
You couldn't be an addict to cigarettes right now. You go
I
broke.
mean, it would be hard. I mean, it was starting to be hard when I quit, and yeah, it's just gotten worse.
What are they, like 15?
Is
I
it
have no
15 now?
Don't
It
ask
was
me.
like 10 when
Did you
I quit.
I don't know. I thought cigarettes were expensive.
I think they're around
Like,
15.
I thought they were $20 or something. I have no idea.
something.
But if you're
Yeah,
smoking
it's way
a
too
carton a
much.
day,
Way
2,
too
3,
much.
that's a lot
A
of
carton
money.
a day?
I don't know.
That's a fucking
pack a
That's
day.
pack.
Well, even a
What do they
pack,
call it?
yeah.
30, was that 30 cigarettes in there or some shit?
20.
20?
I never counted. I just smoked.
Yeah.
So do the math, right? 20 cigarettes. How many hours that you're awake? I mean, it's like a cigarette an hour or less. I mean, that's a lot.
Oh,
for
yeah.
a
Yeah.
smoker. That's a lot. I mean,
At one point, I feel I did get up to like 2 packs a day, but again, that's just too damn expensive. So
Yeah.
I cut myself to max being like a pack a day.
What's hard with me in the vaping is it's easier to get away with, especially in places you
Yeah.
shouldn't. And so you don't really go out to have a smoke break anymore. You can kind of just hit your vape in the bathroom so I'm noticing that I call it my pacifier
Yeah.
because it sleeps in my hand.
Yeah.
I hit it in my sleep. It really because it just makes it so much easier. It's always
Right.
attached to you.
Yeah.
that's some
Luckily for me,
So
pacifier. I'm like, what the
it
hell?
is. And if I don't have it, I get crabby. I mean,
Holy
Yeah.
shit. This is taking a whole nother direction.
Lucky for me, I hate vaping with a passion. So I was like, I can't use that as a like.
There you go. Did you cold turkey it or?
I had to. That was the only way.
That's rough.
I just have to like white knuckle it because there's no amount of weaning off.
Like
of me with
tapering
cigarette.
is, yeah.
Literally,
It's all or nothing.
It's all or nothing. Just
I can
full
see that.
blast, like.
That's me with drinking.
Yeah.
Honestly, all or nothing. I will
Yeah.
have one drink and I
Yeah.
will not stop
And
until I'm done.
And I know with me, I can be that way with like drinking. It's like if I'm gonna have one, I have to consciously like hold down the brake,
Mhm.
like,
Right.
especially when I'm like at a concert or whatnot.
Or at my house doing podcasts.
That's part of my payment.
Yeah, my payment's getting as
Whiskey-
fucked up as
You're
possible.
right.
Speaking of expensive, whiskey's expensive, and
Is
Stoney
it?
buys the good stuff. So.
How's your whiskey
This
that
is
you had
how-
earlier today?
This is how I'm in front of the camera. You see how I'm in front of the camera? This is how you get me in front of the camera. This is what you're paying for. Sorry.
Damn, we're looking. Wish you were off the camera now. I'm just kidding.
But
I'm just
I also
kidding.
know with like alcohol, I can just if I want to do a dry month,
Mm-hmm.
no problem.
Right.
Or like
That was me. I wasn't like a daily drinker, but if I was going to drink, I was going to drink.
Yeah.
And then it was like I would even plan it to where I would drink Friday so I could be hungover Saturday, somewhat feel better Sunday because I'm 36 now and I'm old.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Old as fuck.
the hangovers start to hurt into your 30s
sure.
a lot more than they did at 21. And I realized I was wasting so much time. Like so much of my weekend being hungover, it wasn't worth it, you know, to have one night of no memories, because it's not even like I can say I had good memories. I don't remember any of it.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing too. Like, if you don't remember anything you did, like, was it really worth it?
I used to say it's God's way of like telling me it was better you don't remember, and I'm like, no, I think that just means you're an alcoholic, Janelle.
Yeah.
Like,
but you want to have that reputation too, like,
right?
Oh, like, who was I? Like, because I know stories that people have told about me, and I'm like, I have no idea about that whatsoever.
Honestly, now, like, me present and me and active addiction are two so totally separate people. I don't know who she was.
Yeah.
Like, night and day.
So the funny is you tell your story, right? You didn't know, and you're talking about, you know, just where you don't remember doing things.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it wasn't that. It was a high. It made me ultra focused. It made me pay more attention. It was almost like doing coke without doing coke.
Yeah.
But it was, you know, getting that level of energy and focusing more. But what I realized is I turned into this person I didn't like.
Right.
And probably one of the big reasons why I ended up going through my first divorce was being, you know, through medications and things and you know, maybe a little drug use back then, but you know, but it was never a label to it. That's the thing, right? And so when the doctor,
there was labels, you just didn't ignore them.
I ignored them, but I never had a label put on it for
Right.
me. And when I went to the doctor and finally said, "I'm done. I don't want any more pills. What can we do?" And this was before weed was legal. It was still, you had to get a card. And she's like, "Do you know about medical marijuana?" And I'm like, "Well, I used to smoke a lot of weed growing up, but
I mean, my name's
you know,
Stoney.
exactly." I'm like, "My name is Stoney. Duh. And you're a doctor." My name is Stoney. But it was kind of one of those things. She said, "Well, let me educate you."
Right.
And so she went through down, boom, boom, boom. There's CBD, CBN, all the different things, and so she gave me my card, and I started, you know, doing medical marijuana, just going down to the dispensary, doing that whole thing, and buying stuff. And now I look at it. Now I'm 57 years old. I don't take Vicodin. I don't take sleeping pills. I don't take anything. The only thing I take is a couple Advil to get the bones kind of going, and then I smoke weed. And so for me, that's, I guess, Cali sober, just because I don't do anything else.
Right.
That keeps me medicated, keeps me kind of just functioning to where I don't need any other medication. There's so many people on antidepressants and, you know, Prozac, like whatever it is to cope.
It's
this
really,
is just a different
it's hard
way.
with the pharmaceuticals because anytime I go to my traditional doctor, there's a pill for that.
Right.
But if I had known the side effects of the opiates I was taking and the possibility of addiction, and even with my antidepressants now, how hard it is to get off of them, I maybe would have reconsidered it. I have used cannabis to get off a lot of my medications. I need pharmaceutical meds. Like, I'll be honest, I will forever be that person. And that's fine with me. Yeah, I just have a chemical imbalance in my brain, and that's fine with me. But I got so tired of taking a pill every single day, and that pill controlled my life. I don't want more pills. And I've noticed with plant medicine and using cannabis, we use the term Cali sober because it's more traditionally known that way. I don't really personally like the term Cali sober. But it's also, my dad used to always joke that, oh, you're just hanging out with your stoner friends on Zoom. And it's definitely.
What's wrong with that?
Yes, we actually are. But.
And now she's hanging out with her brother getting stoned much later in life.
Exactly. It's full circle moment here. But we are just trying to show that you can use cannabis in a healthy way in recovery and not be stigmatized for it. The stigma around this stupid plant is so ridiculous. Yeah. It's just a plant.
And they keep coming up with new ones too, which I'm like, how?
So let me throw something that I get that, right? And I live that, and that's how I function and everything. But there's a large portion of people, and you go back to the Nancy Reagan days and all those things of, you know, say no to drugs and
dare.
Yeah. No, but you know what I'm getting at is the stigma, right?
Right.
The stigma is there are those people that will do the cannabis, which will lead to doing something else, which will lead to doing something else, and then what gets blamed is the cannabis.
So I
When
don't
it's not
believe that
necessarily-
cannabis is the
No.
gateway drug. I think that trauma
No, I
is the
agree.
gateway to whatever.
But the stigma is tied to that whole thing. Is it's a gateway
is.
drug. But now, fast forward to where we are now, is that it's hard for me to justify that that's the case because
I don't think it's the case at
Me
all.
neither. Because
I think
otherwise,
that
why
the
are
Nancy
we-
Reagan era, the DARE era, really stigmatized cannabis in such a unhealthy light to where people, like, unfortunately, my dad's generation didn't understand it. I mean, he smoked later in his life, but he didn't understand what we were doing. And I hate to say it, but I think when that generation kind of starts to phase out, cannabis may become less stigmatized because I'm working with my son on the benefits of it. It's a medication. It's not some big scary drug. Listen,
Right.
I was always told somebody was going to be giving me free drugs and offering me all these free drugs
Where are
growing
the
up.
drugs on
Where are the
Halloween?
free drugs? I had to pay for them.
Right?
What? Nobody is it a shady coat when they're like, you want some weed, little girl? No, I had to get it from. You got what you got in the Taco Bell parking lot. You hoped it wasn't
Right.
dirt.
Yeah.
Now I go on my phone and I click what I want and it gets delivered.
Right.
And I think just talking
Oh, that's
about
so
it
nice.
more just
So
makes it less stigmatized and showing that, like, I can smoke and function completely in my life without ruining my life. So what's the big deal?
Well, I feel too a lot of the stigmatization of weed was like the catch-all. Like,
Right.
Like if you got caught with weed versus like being like, let's say you're up on like speed or like coke or like PCP, you're not gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm on PCP. You're gonna be like, oh no, I'm just on weed. So they
Right.
just attributed everything like, oh, if you're high, you must be on weed. When really people are just using weed as the like
It was,
scapegoat.
it was the blanket catch-all for the.
It's like, no, I wasn't shooting up heroin around the corner. I was smoking.
I mean, we had a whole crack epidemic. That wasn't because people started smoking weed one day and we're like, you know what? Do
Let's
some
go to
crack.
crack, yeah.
I mean, I've never met anybody who used weed as a gateway drug. They were using whatever substances they could use at that time and access to cope with their trauma. And that's why I say that trauma is the gateway drug to addiction, not weed.
dude,
Right.
how did my sister get so fucking smart? Because I'm sitting there going,
I don't
"Dang,
know
look at that."
either.
Obviously,
It's
she
not
wasn't hanging out with
genetic.
you.
No, but that's the side effect to the weed because I don't remember shit anymore.
So what you have to do is just keep smoking more to build up your
Oh,
tolerance.
Yes, my
Don't be
tolerance
a little
is-
bitch about it.
It always turns back on me. Why is Stoney being a little bitch? No, it's all good conversation. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
Of, where you've been, what's kind of gone on with your life. It's interesting being such a big age gap between us. How now later in life when we go back, how things are a lot of parallelism in what's happened with us, just at different times.
Different generational cycles.
Yes.
And then we try to work on breaking those moving forward so they don't keep happening.
Right. And I think that's, it's been great to be able to reconnect with you on a different level. And I was glad you got on the podcast.
Yeah, it's different
And-
now that we're older and can have like our own adult conversations with our own thoughts and processes.
Right. And it boils down to now it's a matter of do you like me or not, or do I like you or not? It's a friendship kind of thing.
Right.
And
Well, because you
there's-
can make a choice in your life. I also learned too that just because you're family doesn't mean that you're
You don't have
family.
to tell me.
Just because you're family doesn't mean they have to like you.
Yeah.
But to
Right.
be fair, most of my friends, just because you're my friend doesn't mean they have to like you.
So I want to let one of my business secrets out when we're talking about family is, I got a lot of people that, because I do photography and they're like, hey, can we get a special, if you do our photography and they're like, can we get the family discount? They're always saying, can I get the family discount? And I always reply back with, I got you. I'm going to give you the family rate. And they're always excited that they got
Probably
the family
more,
rate.
isn't it?
It's like double or triple sometimes.
Yeah, for pain and suffering.
Exactly, right? Because family is a pain in the ass, so you're going to pay.
Right,
But
and
I
you
don't
want
ever-
a discount?
So I never use the word discount in my business. It's always it's a rate, it's a deal, it's this. But
That's a
when you
good
go to
perspective.
you go to Kohl's and they're like, oh, you saved $200 today, but you spent like $500. No, you didn't save shit.
Listen, that's
They just
girl
said-
math.
I've
Girl
heard
math.
That is girl math. We
Yes.
don't jeopardize my girl
So do
math.
not
I
show-
saved, so
no.
ultimately that
No,
500
no,
cancels
no.
out, and I saved money. I
not-
actually did not even spend money that day.
Do not tell my wife about the girl math. Please, you
Oh,
will-
she knows. Oh,
We put
she
girl math in
knows.
before girl math was a thing.
She's in
Okay,
there.
before there was a term, Stoney.
Yeah.
Before there was a term.
You know
I
what?
used to
Now,
work in retail. I know what that math is.
Yep, exactly. I can
Alright.
justify any purchase. Let me tell you.
wow. I'm just looking at time. How much we got? Where?
Oh,
are
we got plenty.
We got plenty of time. So I can go back to my agenda of like let's ask Janelle 20 questions. It's gonna get down to like.
I mean, we're
A few
getting there
questions.
a little bit with the addictions and
No,
various
it's good.
kinds and different
Gonna get better,
kinds.
huh?
Yeah.
Like, and what people don't realize about prescription drugs is that's another industry that's been taken over by capitalism and is very sales driven. And
Well,
they
yeah, all the
were,
doctors from 2012 got yachts for selling all their pills, while others ended up in prison.
Yeah.
They had so much kickback.
It's all
from
about
Purdue.
money management.
no, but
Yeah, okay.
oxycontin is at or double the strength of heroin. You might as well just be a heroin addict at
Well,
that
and
point.
that's what happened,
Yeah.
honestly, is because I read a really great book. I think it's called Dreamland, and it talked about how the heroin was coming over from Mexico with the
Mhm.
cartel, and then the opiates were being overprescribed because doctors were told OxyContin was not addictive.
Yeah.
And Purdue Pharma was giving them kickbacks for prescribing it. And so
Despite
it was
them actually knowing
how addictive it
actually
was.
was. But, you know, you got to make that money. Make
And then
those
now, I'll
sales.
be honest, it's unfortunate that a lot of us women and men have to suffer in pain because it is so hard to get a pain prescription now if you
Mhm.
actually need it. Because I don't think our bodies were ever meant to be in pain. It just sucks that this medication is so addictive and was so easily available.
Yeah.
But when people got cut off, they went straight to heroin because I would have done the same thing if I had known that you could use other ways than intravenously.
Right.
I didn't know that till I got to rehab. I learned a lot of good drug stuff in rehab, by the way.
Usually.
I was a very naive girl in there until I left. But a lot of people I know, most of the people I know who are heroin addicts started from prescription pain medication.
Yeah.
Whether it was, from a doctor or the street, but still.
Yeah, and exactly. Like, and people don't quite understand that still. They give, like, the pharmaceutical companies kind of a pass because they're supposed to be just purely on the medical mind.
Right.
But that's not how our for-profit healthcare system works.
Not at all,
And
unfortunately.
So, like, yeah, they are just like prescribing not even the cure. It's not the cure. It's just like
It's a Band-Aid
Yeah,
to get you out of the office because they only get 7 minutes with you,
Yeah.
and that's it.
yeah.
I
And
lived that for a long time.
yeah, and I feel a lot of the pain meds, they mask the actual pain being like received, but then the removal of them
Mm-hmm.
also causes pain. So you
So-
haven't actually solved the problem.
Not at all. So,
'cause-
as an opiate addict, you typically have the lowest pain tolerance because your receptors are so overloaded with the opiates. So, when I was thinking about getting sober, it was like, oh, my back hurts. How am I going to survive without? I mean, I thought that I'm fine with Motrin. I can move. I'm totally fine. But it had me so convinced that my pain was so excruciating.
Yeah,
I couldn't
exactly.
function without it. And that's where like the mental addiction kind of comes in too,
Yeah.
where you think that you need it, but my pain tolerance was so low at that point. I'd stub my toe and be like, oh, I need 10 pills.
Yeah, exactly. And that was just rough because a lot of people get on those pills for purely medical reasons,
Right.
to help medically, and have had their lives completely destroyed because of
Yeah.
them. They went to the doctors for help and
Now they're,
just
yeah.
complete addicts. And then the same people that got them addicted or, caused this whole thing to happen are now blaming those people like, oh, why do we need to care about them?
Right.
Or like,
Why should we provide mental health services?
yeah, why should
or
we
why
be
should
taxed to provide the facilities and things to help get them through rehab and get
Exactly.
better? How about our privatized prison buddies just take them instead?
Exactly, because it's
And-
easier to solve the problem
Well,
without
and then you
dealing
get free
with it.
slavery too.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're gonna go a whole political way. We don't want to go right now.
We're talking about the medical industry.
I know.
It's
So
awful. I
I-
mean, even now, sober dealing with medical stuff. It's
No.
Oh,
It's expensive. I learned that they're really just, come in for this test, $350. Come in for this,
Hey,
$600.
try having cancer, okay?
Okay, you're right. Jesus,
Well, it's
Stoney.
even worse.
I mean, no,
I know, but the way you said that
No, I didn't mean it that
You're
way.
right. I really shouldn't be complaining. Jesus.
That's not what I meant. I meant
God, Stoney, it's not always about you.
no.
I'm sorry, Jill. I love you.
I meant from a cost standpoint, as a medical. That totally came out wrong. No, but it's hell. I mean, if we didn't have insurance, we'd be bankrupt.
I mean,
I mean,
you have lost everything.
even with it, we have a shitload of money going out of pocket just to make it happen. So, yes, it's been a rough year.
Well, and all that money's not going to her care.
No.
Only a quarter of it's going to her care. That's the stupid part about the whole thing. Like, 3/4 or about a quarter of that other is the admin to run the insurance company, and the other half remaining is just going to the shareholders' pockets.
What's crazy, even working for car and like a automotive and seeing what we bill insurance and what we do. I mean, if you're billing insurance 8 hours for labor on a panel, my tech probably isn't really working 8 hours on that panel. That's just what we would charge you for.
But it's a negotiated price for this project.
Exactly.
And if you're just dealing with a big institution like insurance, yeah, of course you're going to bleed them because their whole thing is to keep the money. So
exactly.
Take that money away from them because that's how the system is supposed to work. It's a whole game of it's like being at the casino. Who's going to keep my money? Am I going to keep my money? And is the house going to keep their money? Or who's going to take whose money?
Huncho?
And now, I mean, for the auto industry, it's one thing. But when it comes to saving people's
somebody's
actual
life,
lives and health,
and people trying to just function. No,
how that system is ran. It just shouldn't.
No, it's really disgusting.
Yeah, and our friendly Kaiser Permanente.
Aren't they great?
I love it.
I love them so much.
The doctors' bonuses is out of the same fund that they take tests out of. So if the doctors order less tests, they get a bigger bonus at the end of the year.
Well, that explains why it's taken me over a year to figure out my GI issue.
Yeah.
Well, so with that, right? Everything you guys said is absolutely right. Along those lines, though, especially with the experience that I just went through with my wife with the whole cancer and dealing with the Kaiser, is you have to advocate for yourself.
100%.
Or have somebody that advocates for you, or especially when you can't advocate for yourself, having somebody that you can depend on that's going to do that, because that's going to make or break. I mean,
if you
it's
don't
a
have an
whole
advocate,
nother-
you're screwed.
Yeah.
You're screwed. I mean, it's hard with my mom being in Texas, trying to be her advocate when she can't for herself, and I've tried doing it for it's hard to do it for myself. Today I had to adult, which is really hard. And I mean, I could make phone calls at work and get paid to do it, but for me to call and schedule my appointments, I had to call 3 different people at Kaiser. That was a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But if I didn't,
you're not getting paid for it to do it for yourself.
And I'm trying to get through the right people and just trying to advocate for my mental health that, hey, my meds aren't working. I need help. For once, Kaiser was so responsive today. Super impressed. Good job, guys. They called me back 3 times.
Well,
was really,
you got the right people. Yeah.
I told them where I was mentally, and I'm glad that it was taken seriously because sometimes it'd be dismissive.
They knew that she was gonna. They knew she was gonna be on the Stony Stone podcast, so they're like, "Yeah, let's
give her all the drugs."
Well, that's why I like the scene in The Incredibles where the dad's in the insurance. He's like, "Okay, you call this number. You talk to this person over here. They're gonna help you out." It's like. That's some real, not all
That's
heroes
me at work.
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay, here's the back line for Geico. This will cut you through all the automated people.
Geico,
Call me if you have any questions. I used to work for them. I can help. Because it's sad that the whole world is it's who you know. Do you know someone in the medical industry to help you get fixed? Because if not, you're on your own.
Or you need to know the system, and every system is different.
And it's never taught in school either.
Well, it's hard to be taught just in general. How do you teach the system unless you're actually part of the system?
Right.
You have to be part of the system. And medical's that way. Most people don't understand how to navigate the medical system because it shouldn't be that complicated in the first
It
place.
shouldn't. I've learned a lot of
but-
people don't know their car insurance either
Yeah.
at all. And
Anything
so
legal.
no, and it's like
no
now you're in a
grasp.
wreck and you have no this.
Yeah.
And so I always tell people, send me your policy. I'll look at it
Yeah.
just because I get yelled at by people and it's not
Right.
my fault you chose these things. So,
Yeah.
but this is what I feel like they should be teaching in high school, you know,
But
like
the system's
tax
always
deductions, like what you
Yeah.
should do because adulting is hard.
Well, it's all a scam. Most of the systems are a scam, so they don't want people to
They
know
set
what
you
the
up for
scams
failure.
are. Yeah, it's all about sucking money out of people, and
Everything.
where it should just be like, why is there a fund just to help everybody out? No, well, the people who are managing that fund, which granted they need compensation, but then it's also
But do they
like,
need that
let me
much?
suck up as much as
Right.
you can. It's,
Like doctors should be paid a good wage for being
and
doctors,
you know
but
how
it,
much that is.
right, but we shouldn't be paying this much for shitty
Well-
health insurance. Honestly,
But that's not where the cost goes. So we know how much that doctor should be paid for their quality of work. But guess where most of the money goes to? The shareholder and CEO of the insurance
yeah.
companies that have no actual medical intervention
exactly.
whatsoever. They're the ones making $20 million a year.
When I
while
worked for
the top
Geico,
surgeon
right?
is making $500,000.
I worked for Geico, and they were owned by Warren Buffett. Do you think Warren Buffett
Wait.
knows anything about
No,
Geico and insurance?
absolutely no.
Hell no.
He doesn't give a fuck.
No, but I got
No,
to write checks
It's
out of
just
his
all
checkbook.
numbers. It's all numbers. It's all just
You're
numbers.
like, guys want to write checks?
Just stupid. I
Yeah.
did. I had a checkbook, and it was like, "Oh, it's Warren Buffett's money, so be careful." And I'm like,
All right, we're going down a hole that's beat up California carriers. We know it all sucks.
no, we're not talking California. This
Well,
is
just
nationwide,
nation.
buddy.
"We're going to
I
Canada."
just think
Fucking
of
Mormons.
Mormons.
Fucking Mormons. No, the
Alright.
Mormons run the medical industry in the States.
Interesting.
They are taking it over, especially elderly care and like nursing homes and
Huh.
all that. It's all the Mormons out of Utah.
Did you know the
Fucking
Mormon
nuts.
Wives just had a reality show? That's
That's
where my mind.
Exactly, right? I think of Mormons, I think of how many wives can I have?
I think of religious trauma. When I
Well, that
think
too.
of Mormon.
Well, I'm thinking to have more than one wife. That's like trauma in itself.
Oh.
So, like, who is...
Stoney, do you know when they marry their wives?
When do they marry their
When they're
wives?
still teenagers.
Very
like in
much
high
so,
school.
unfortunately.
That would be just
Again, with
weird.
the religious
Yeah,
trauma.
See, if you're a Mormon right now, you'd be looking at a 16-year-old for your next
No,
bride.
I'm good.
Ugh.
No. I'm good. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So, Janelle, what advice would...
So,
What advice-
not about those Mormons.
No, fuck those Mormons. What advice would you
Fuck
give
them
someone...
Mormons.
What advice would you give someone who's struggling with addiction?
To reach out. I really learned that connection with people honestly has saved my life. And surrounding yourself with the right people who match the energy that either you have or you want. Because those
Very
people,
true.
places,
Very
and
true.
things can keep you stuck so much in your life.
Yeah.
And I would say that goes along with just your life in general.
Yeah.
And I've gone, me, I'm pretty outgoing. I go a lot of different roads, and I've been down this fishing road for a while, and I went through that same thing with fishing friends or people I met, and it's like not all of them are good for you and
Right.
what you want and what your goals are, and you have to kind of, in using fishing terms, cut bait. It's just like
Gotta be selective.
gotta be selective.
Well, and that's what I started to do once I got sober. Is when I was not sober, I was a very negative, angry, toxic person, and it was very exhausting, victimizing myself the whole time. It was poor me, woe is me, and I changed that mindset. And so I only want to surround myself with those people who want to grow and develop. And
Yeah.
because I've kind of curated that, that's what I really thank my recovery to, because I have accountability, I have companionship, I have that friendship that I haven't really had before, and it's people that I can trust.
Mhm.
And I think that's key, right? So you look at there's a few different parts to being an addict or going through recovery. There's a whole addiction to the drug or your whatever it is, whether it's a drug or something else, but something that you're addicted to that's negatively impacting your life. And there's a mental side of it of who do I want to surround my people who are going to help me get through this.
Right.
There's so many times in my life where I was with the wrong people, taking me down the wrong road, And you have to connect with the right people, the like-minded people.
The people who care about you and have your best interest in mind, maybe when you don't have your own.
And the biggest is your best interests. They're looking at what's best for you.
And those people who celebrate your wins with you instead of criticizing you behind your back. That's a big thing.
That is a huge thing.
Because there's a lot of envy and jealousy, and it's hard not to be. I mean, it's natural sometimes, but I've learned being around people who want to see me succeed, and in the same turn, the same for them, makes a big difference.
And I think for me personally, and throughout my life, it's been I chase the wrong thing. I chase the wrong type of people, and I end up going down the wrong roads. And then I get brought back to, okay, I want more in life. I want to do better in life.
Right.
And so you start surrounding yourself with the people that are going to get you to those goals. And just, it's a give and take, right? And I've lived a lot of that, and I've had to cut a lot of things out of my life in the past in order for me to stay on track with, what needs to happen now in order for the future to be successful.
Right.
And it's sometimes they're hard decisions to make, but sometimes they need to be made.
This year I'm really focusing on who I put my energy into and how it gets returned, because I'm very much a people pleaser, and I'm a lover and a giver, and I will give of myself to the point where I realize it's a one-way street. And so, not saying these people don't deserve the energy, but I would also like to put it more into where I get it back myself in return, because my cup has to be full. Otherwise, there is no cup.
Yeah, you can't just be running on empty.
No.
There's a joke. Never mind, won't go there.
I was gonna never.
No. Censor.
1, 2. No.
Don't encourage him. Don't encourage. You know who you're dealing with here.
I know.
Don't encourage him.
I just triggered a thought. There was a joke in there somewhere.
Anyway, keep it in there.
Right. We got some comments.
I've been trying to read. There's a lot coming through but you can let's take a break and answer. There's a ton. So I'm like,
we could do. Let's see. We'll do the last one first. Have you had good experiences with AA or NA?
Absolutely. I honestly totally believe in the 90 and 90, which is recommended when you first go into the rooms of AA and NA, 90 meetings in 90 days. AA was the base of my foundation for recovery. But at some point I just found it didn't work for me anymore. So I found what did. But I have absolute love for AA and NA. It works for a lot of people. But just because it doesn't work for you doesn't mean that's the end of recovery. There are so many different other options out there.
Just find something that resonates with you that's going to help you.
Yes, because if you don't feel it, it doesn't work. I tried, trust me.
Well, I think a lot of that too is that, when you say you don't feel it, right, you have to want to make the change. You can't change to meet somebody else's needs.
You can't get sober for your job, your kids, your spouse. You have to get sober for you. And until you hit that point, it won't stick.
Right.
Yeah. That's a big thing, because even my daughter would give me shit about smoking cigarettes, and even once she found out that grandma had her back on that topic, she's like, "Oh, well, I'll just double down on it." It still ends up being at the end of the day I have to do that mental battle every time.
You have to have the acceptance, yeah.
So I'll read that one from Kim. Go down. I like that question. Kim Redford, that one.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, no,
she's all, oh no.
She says, "Hi sis." Can one become addicted to weed? If so, would you consider yourself sober? Asking for your friend or
for a friend.
For a friend.
No, I know who that is.
I don't. I think that you can become addicted to weed in the sense where you're using it as a negative coping skill. Yeah. I like to medicate with intention. So it's I'm going to smoke and then I'm going to do the laundry. I'm going to clean. I'm going to do this. Or if I'm having a rough day, I will medicate, process my feelings. But I do believe that you can use it as a negative coping skill. Yeah. If you are not going to be productive, if your life becomes unmanageable with it, then you're addicted to it. If you're not keeping up with your personal hygiene, your work, if it's unmanageable, then yes, you're addicted to it.
Or
but I don't
using
believe
so much that becomes a heavy financial burden.
Exactly. But I don't think that you can become physically addicted to weed just by using it a couple of times, and you definitely can't overdose because I've tried.
Yeah.
I mean, I keep trying to smoke myself to death, but it ain't working.
I've tried myself.
That's a interesting
Takes a
thing
lot.
that I have my own personal theory about, that addiction is very personal.
It is.
And while, you know, a lot of people would say, like, we just had this conversation about, like, weed's not addictive. I feel for some people, weed is their cigarettes, is their heroin, and it is a destructive force in their life. And them trying to get off of it and whatnot, it's still hitting all the same kind of things. It
It's checking all the boxes.
A typical addiction, but it's still an addiction. Like, I feel even past, like, you know, drugs and whatnot, like, there's many forms of addiction. Like gambling.
Or the physical addiction of rolling the joint. You know, the ritual of it can become addictive.
Well, no, but I mean, just different activities are addictive to different people.
Yes.
Like, I'm not addictive to gambling, but I understand how someone could be addicted to gambling. And I just put my experiences of cigarette addiction to that as well, of like, if like their addiction with gambling is the same as me fighting with cigarettes, of like that constant battle, and then like, oh, I get hot, I'm on it, you're running that high, da 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 da, and then the next thing you know, you've taken $50,000 out in loans under your kid's name.
Right. Well, that's a true testament to you don't know people's battles and their struggles at all.
Exactly.
And so who's to say, you know, one's an addict or not? We can all have our own struggles we don't know about.
But it's whatever that does to you and affects your, you know, your personal existence.
So what I get out of that is it's only a problem when it's a problem.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because a lot of people that function.
Right?
When
your life becomes unmanageable.
There's a functioning alcoholic, or they're a functioning pot smoker, or there's been people that can do cocaine, doctors, lawyers, and stuff that will function. Are they addicts? Yes, but it's masked by...
Or they're recreational users. There's definitely the recreational industry as well.
It's the difference too, because like you said, like, just because you do something
doesn't mean...
Are you addicted to it, and is it...
I mean, there's people who can use cocaine recreationally and use
it
once every couple months and not even have another passing glance at it. I don't think they're addicts. They're recreational users. Can they become addicts? Absolutely.
And that can go with anything in life. I mean, it's just like...
Food.
Well,
I mean...
everything, right? Fishing. I do fishing every week. Am I an addict? Well,
yes. Jill says yes.
I go once a week. I could love to go more, but as an addict, I'd love to go every single day. Well, that to me would be too much, because now it's negatively impacting, because that's all
But
you're
like,
doing.
are you selling your booty hole for money to go fishing? Because that would be like unmanageable.
Have you seen Old Farts Fishing?
Absolutely.
Sponsored by Champions.
Sponsored by Bush's Baked Beans.
Sponsored by Hook 'em Big.
God.
Amazing fishing.
Yep,
put that shit on everything.
The Delta.
Maybe a little bit.
The Delta.
Yeah, of all places, right?
Jeez, Stoney, have some class. Not the Delta.
See, look, you can pay me to wear your hat on my podcast. Golden State Sport Fishing. Send me your hat and we'll give you a shameless plug too.
Without a booty hole.
Without a booty hole. No booty holes. This went south quick. So, you know, we're like getting close to the end of, I did have a couple other questions before we get too far off track. So what are your goals for the future? Personally, professionally, you know, kind of a deep question.
God damn.
Or you can say, fuck, I'm too high, I don't care. I mean,
Not that.
day by day, minute by minute. No.
I would love to watch our recovery group continue to grow. I would love for us to be recognized as the rooms of AA and NA, in the sense of just ending the stigma of harm reduction being a dirty thing. I think that if we were to end the stigma, we'd probably lose a lot less people if we were able to provide more harm reduction services with more education. Because I was very naive to harm reduction too. Like, oh, you're just going to give them free needles? Let's give them free heroin.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's not actually what it is. And so I love when the universe kind of humbles me like that, because I was that person before when I had total abstinence. And I think that if we could just educate more people, we would end a lot more of these stigmas and lose a lot less people.
Yeah. For sure.
Very well said. You're always such an elegant speaker.
And the big Narcan movement now.
I carry Narcan with me at all times. If you need some, I got some. Because it's scary. It's really scary. My kid carries Narcan, and he knows how to use it just because you don't know. And right now, people are using 2 to 3 to 4 Narcans to get you back because the fentanyl is so strong.
Fucking fentanyl.
And there's fentanyl in everything, except for cannabis. I still have yet to see legit reports because there's a lot of fear mongering with fentanyl too. You can't get it by touch. You can't overdose by touching it. If you have open wounds and stuff, yes, but just by touching fentanyl, you won't overdose and die. So again, ending these stigmas about drugs, or just not even ending the stigma, but more education on it.
Right. Just what it actually is, not whatever this fear mongering bullshit.
I mean, it's scary, but
that Madness movie from the 19
Reefer Madness.
Reefer Madness. Like,
I'm not that
we
old.
don't need that.
I've seen those little outtakes of that one section, but I've never seen the whole.
But like, there's so much fear mongering about just drugs are bad, and you're evil, and you are the devil. Blah blah. Blah. It's like
it's the devil's lettuce.
Just more education about it just makes it all less scary, and frankly makes people less likely to do it and thus become addicted to it.
Right.
So you're a poet and didn't even know it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. We're getting close to the end. I had a few other things trying to keep us on track.
Okay.
But it's great conversation. I mean, we've covered a lot of stuff. But I do have a couple gifts I want to give you.
Okay. I like it.
Here, we're going to do this. I'm going to show this up on the camera here. This is right here. This little picture. Look at that.
So pretty.
This is an original Stoney's photography. Cannabis art.
I love it. It'll go in
art.
the doobie
We got
den.
a couple others. There's zoom this one in real quick. This one is kind of psychedelic. And one more. I'm going to give her. I always like things in threes. Kind of balances out the universe. But buds. I said this bud's for you.
I'll name this one Blue
Oh,
Dream.
look in the back.
There's a little bio on the back.
Hey, look, I know that guy.
Artist.
I hate that photo of you so much.
That doesn't even look like you.
That is the worst
dude.
photo of you ever, and you put it on fucking everything.
I look good in that photo.
You do
look,
not.
Come on.
No, you do not. That is garbage photo.
I look good.
You gotta pull it back for the focus.
Right here.
Do you not know how depth of field works?
Oh, I'm a photographer. I don't know shit.
A photo's
well,
terrible.
thank you. I love them. I'm going
Anyway.
to put them up in our sunroom, which is our doobie den.
If you want those, we can sell them for $19.95. Today's special.
Sham wow! Buy one, get one free.
But wait, there's more. Get one free
OxyClean
doobie.
too. What?
No, Janelle, it was great having you on the podcast.
Yeah, it was fun.
Hopefully all the audio and everything went through. I know we saw a few comments early on as we were dicking around with some technical stuff. But
thank you for everybody who has shared their personal experiences.
Oh, wow. I'm excited.
We'll go back.
And whatnot. We appreciate all of you chiming in and letting us know when the sound sucked and not sucked. And let me know that I had to fix Stoney's plugging issue because, again, probe. But we appreciate you watching through the entire episode. Even the people are like, we might cut out later. No, you're here till the end, baby. I love it.
and we'll go back and look at the comments. I'm sure Janelle will probably respond.
I'll
to
check
some
them
of
out.
those. I'll respond to them. But definitely, as it being a live feed, we don't always get to see those, but we are watching.
Oh, wait, shameless plug. If anybody
absolutely
needs
shameless plug
recovery services, canrecovery.org will have a listing of all of our meetings. We have specialty meetings. We have a meeting every single day at 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern on Zoom. No password.
What is that site again?
Canrecovery.org.
How do you spell it?
I need to slow the fuck down. I just realized
I'm like, what the fuck did you say?
I was going to ask the same question.
Can you spell that?
Canna Recovery.
Canna Recovery.
Like cannabis, but cannarecovery.org. But we're not in recovery from cannabis.
I understand, but it's CAN.
C-A-N-N-A.
N-N-A. C-A-N-N-A. There'll be a link in post-production that's in there, but Eric,
But
my
that'll
super
give you a
producer, is already
link
looking
to
for it.
all of our
Awesome.
Zooms. We have a Discord chat for people. Good fellowship.
Awesome. But yeah, it's like you've come such a long way, and I'm glad
Thank you.
that we've been able to kind of connect in life much later. And, you know, I'll never be that big brother necessarily, but maybe make me somebody that's a positive influence in your life.
Absolutely.
And see where that goes. So,
Yeah.
Oh, and to Brandy, yeah, I've been growing it since like 2021.
What's your goatee or your
No,
hair?
my hair.
I thought you were talking about weed.
He's been growing weeds since 20.
No,
Okay.
she asked, my hair looks great long.
Oh, he just had to
I've
get
been
that in
working
there.
really long. I've
So-
been working really hard on
Mine is fake. I get it sewed on every 6
it.
weeks.
Really?
Yeah, so see, Eric had to go like, oh, wait, there's one more comment I got to read. My hair looks so wonderful. What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Luscious locks.
Yeah, wait till I do the post edits with this
Yeah,
one.
I'm
That'll
still
be
having
fun.
so much fun whipping my hair and the people at the mosh
Do it
pits.
again. Do it again.
In
There you go. Watch
mosh pit.
post production. It's gonna be fun
Yeah.
when
Like
that
slow-mo.
comes
I'm
on.
the Mexican Fabio over here.
Holy shit! All right, final thought here, Janelle. One last question. I had 20 questions. I got through like 7, but I got one. Just one question. What would you like to leave for the listeners who might be going through a similar situation as you?
Honestly, that recovery is possible.
Okay.
For the longest time, I didn't think it was possible. Relapse is a part of my recovery. I didn't think I was going to come back, but it is possible. And I would just hope to plant the seed for somebody. Maybe they're not going to get sober today or tomorrow, but somebody planted that seed for me once. And once I was ready, it grew.
Awesome.
So it is possible. It takes work.
There you go. And that's the thing, right? It takes work. Everything in life takes work.
Mhm.
Your relationships,
Definitely
your
not
job,
given to you.
everything. And speaking of work, let's give a
Fuck, can I get off of work now?
No, you can't get
I've
work.
been working since like 8 a.m. this morning.
That's
Jeez.
why you get paid
I've
the
been
big
in
bucks.
Reading and back.
I send you everywhere. Shameless plug. Stoney's photography will go everywhere, even Reading.
Yeah.
We like doing shameless plugs.
Hey!
Yes.
Look
absolutely.
Behind Film
Oh.
on Indiegogo.
Yes.
Gotta get my shameless in.
Indiegogo. Yeah.
I feel I have other shameless plugs I should do.
I got a lot, but next week. So I think we probably way exceeded our followers again this week. We
Oh no, we actually had quite a few.
Yeah,
We have
so-
5 at the end. We've like
5 at
tripled
the
now.
Hey, you never give the raw number. You say percentages. 50%
Oh, we
growth
got
from
another-
last week.
There we go.
I mean, we did get 52 comments though. That's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, they didn't all tell us to go pound salt or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for watching us.
Thank
We're
you.
growing. Next week, I have a controversial conversation I want to bring up. I don't think I'm going to have a guest, so it'll just be you and I, Eric. I want to talk about AI. Because there's some very different perspectives on AI. We could talk about this now and run late, or we
No.
can save it next. Oh, fuck this, I'm done. But next week, talk about AI.
We're batteries are dying, so
All right, so-
gotta wrap this up, Stoney.
8 o'clock, we're done. Follow us, A Minute with Stoney Stone. Appreciate everybody. Janelle's all, what the?
Driving with
Peace
Stoney
out.
Stone.
Follow all the Stoney Stone channels. Just go on Google and just type in Stoney Stone, and you'll see my ugly face out there somewhere.
You'll find one of your projects.
One of my projects. Oh, and brisket. Brisket was fire
Oh, yeah.
today.
Oh,
with
brisket
cooking.
was
Bomb.
good. I can't lie about that.
Yeah, so there'll be
I
some
want
pictures
to,
of
but I
this.
can't.
Cooking with Stoney Stone. That recipe will be in my new cookbook. Come out probably by Christmas of 2025. You can buy the Cooking with Stoney Stone cookbook. The
Co-written by
recipe.
Joe.
Oh, yes. There you go. Co-written by Jill. All of her recipes put together by
Stoney
me.
Stone name.
Exactly. It's all branding.
All right.
We all know who the real cook is. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. And until next time, Janelle, thank you very much. Appreciate it.